Hi guys, and welcome to this tutorial focusing on surds and irrational numbers. Let's get straight into it. So what is a surd? A surd is basically a root that basically can't be represented or written down exactly in a fractional form. Now I know that that's a mouthful, so to understand this a little better, we're going to need to sidetrack a little bit and just remind ourselves of what roots are. So remember, a root is asking which number can be times together to get the number inside the root. So for a square root, we write it down like this. This is a simple root notation, which is short for writing it out with the 2 in front, like this. So again, we're asking which number can be times together with 2 numbers to get this one under the root. Let's take the root of 144, for example. We know that this is 12 because 12 times 12, so notice it's the same number, is 144, the number under the root. Notice that there's 2 numbers here, and therefore it's the square root. We can do the same for another number. For example, let's take root 7921, 7,921. If we put that into the calculator, we get 89. So what does this mean? It means 89 times 89, again, there's the 2 numbers here, equals the number under the square root, which is 7921. Now this same sort of idea stays the same for all the other roots. We have many different kinds of roots. Think of anyone you want. We can have cube roots, which look like this, 4th roots, 5th roots, 100 roots, whatever, it doesn't matter. But the thing that changes when we're looking at a different root is the number of times that number has to be times together to get the number under the root. Now I know this is confusing, so we'll go through another few examples just so you understand. So let's consider the cube root. Now notice there's a 3 out in front of the root this time instead of the 2 which we had before. So let's consider the cube root of 8. So what we're asking now is which number, when times 3 times, is equal to 8. If we put this in the calculator, like this, we get 2. So what that means is it's telling us 2 times 2 times 2, notice 3 times, is equal to 8. With this pattern in mind, let's consider the 4th root. What do you think is going to happen if I take the 4th root of, let's just say, 6,561? So what does this 4th root mean? So yep, that's right. It means what number, when times 4 times, will get 6,561. If we put this into our calculator, we can see that it's 9. So 9 times 9 times 9 times 9, that's 4 times, is equal to 6,561. This pattern goes on, so if it's the 5th root, I'm asking which number when multiplied 5 times gives me the number on the bar. If it's the 100th root, it's asking which number when times 100 times will give me the number on the bar, and so on. So that's quite the tangent. Now let's try and come back to surds. So where does all of this fit in with surds? Well, so far all the examples with the roots have had a really nice output, so a nice clean number, but sometimes this isn't the case. So a surd is a root, now that could be any root, could be a square root, cube root, 100 root, whatever, that can't be represented cleanly, usually in the form of a fraction. Now, just to show you again what I mean, let's take a few examples. Let's take the square root of 2 numbers, 2.25, and the second one's going to be 8. So let's do our 2.25 first. So, root 2.25, is this a surd? Let's find out. So remember, if the answer can't be cleanly represented with a fraction, it's a surd. So let's put the square root into our calculator of 2.25. Now we get 1.5. Now this isn't a whole number like before, but this can still be represented as a fraction because 0.5, remember, means and a half. So if you're not sure how to do this, or if you're not sure that the number can be represented as a fraction or not, I know that this one's nice and easy, you can use this button on your calculator and it will represent this decimal number as a fraction. So this number here is not a surd because we can rewrite this because 1.5 is actually 1 1/2. So root 2.25, because it's equal to 1.5, which can be represented as a fraction, is not a surd. Now let's do the same thing for our second one, which is our square root of 8. So we know we're looking for a number which, when times together, gives us 8. So we put this into the calculator and we get this very long, messy number. Now this long, messy number is called an irrational number because we can't represent it in a fractional form. Now we know this for sure because when we click our fraction button on the calculator, nothing happens. So this means that the square root of 8, because it can't be represented as a fraction, is a surd. So root 8 is a surd. If we asked what the cube root of 8 is, like we did before, then we know that this would be different. Now you might be thinking, hold on, doesn't that mean that 2.8 blah 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 is the number that we can times together to get 8? So, just to show you what I mean, go on and give this a try in the calculator. As you'll see, no matter how many of those decimal points you put in, you'll see that it's not exactly 8. And therefore, the only way to represent the number that when times together equals 8 exactly is by writing root 8. And that's what makes it a surd, because we can't represent it any other way. Now I'm also going to be going through some more questions on surds and irrational numbers in the next video. So if you need any more help or more examples to help you understand better, be sure to follow on with that next one.